Before we talk about Isa, we have to talk about his mother. But before we talk about his mother, we have to talk about her mother. And Allah tells us about her mother in Surah Ali Imran, chapter number 3. In one of the most detailed passages where we hear about the mother of Maryam. Imra'atu Imran, the wife of Imran. She was pregnant. And she took an oath, she took a promise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She said, إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لَكَ مَا فِي بَطْنِي مُحَرَّرًا فَتَقَبَّلْ مِنِّي. She called out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and she said, I am dedicating this child that I am carrying now to be in your service, O Allah. Accept this commitment from me and this child from me, O Allah. You see, in those days they had houses of worship, like we do, a place where people would worship. And from time to time, they would dedicate some of their family members to be in service of this place of worship. To dedicate their lives to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be in service of this place that was constructed and that was dedicated for the remembrance of Allah. And this position was usually fulfilled by sons, boys. And so when the mother of Maryam, the wife of Imran, gave birth to the child that she gave birth to, it was a daughter. It was a female. That's not what she was expecting. And she said, إِنِّي وَضَعْتُهَا أُنْثَى وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا وَضَعَتْ. She was surprised. I was intending to have a son because those are usually the people that would take upon this position of being in service of the house. And it's a girl. But she was not going to go back on her oath. وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا وَضَعَتْ وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. Males and females are not alike. They are created with different qualities and different abilities and different strengths. But she remained firm and committed to her oath and her commitment and her promise to Allah. And she raised this child with that dedication in mind. What type of intention and what type of aspiration and dream and hope and commitment do we have as parents or as future parents to the children that Allah will bless us with? Many parents have very lofty intentions. An average parent here with us today will aspire that their son or their daughter be an accomplished doctor or someone accomplished in one career or another. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem arises when there is a lack or there is a deficiency or there is an absence within that intention and that desire when it comes to their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the two don't need to be contradictory. You can hope and wish for your child to be the most accomplished in whatever career they decide to pursue. But why must that be at the expense of how they value their connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Does it need to be at the expense of that? No, it doesn't. But the problem is that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for a parent to have that lofty of an aspiration. It's easier to just push the child to go to school and get good grades and get a good job and there you go. That's not that difficult. And I don't mean to belittle any efforts of any parent. Just the idea of being a parent is already challenging enough. But the idea is that this mother of Maryam, her biggest hope and aspiration for this child of hers was that they be in the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we can take a profound lesson from that as well. That what kind of dua are you making? And by the way, this dream of hers is before the child is born. She didn't even know whether it was going to be a boy or a girl yet. But the mother of Maryam had this dream and this hope for her child. Sometimes parents will have this dream and their hope after the child is born and they have a personality and they've already figured out what they want to be when they grow up. But the mother of Maryam was ahead of the game, on top of things. Before even this child comes out of her womb, she is firmly dedicated upon this goal and this objective. That I want this child to be close to Allah. I want this child to be special. Why? Because they are in the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in worship and in obedience.